Alright, hello everyone and welcome to WWE Discussion. I'm your host and WWE enthusiast Doug. In today's episode I'm going to be discussing NXT July 25th, 2023 edition, and this Sunday is the Great American Bash Premium Live event. What started off as a special edition TV show for NXT has now turned into a standalone Premium Live event. And I will admit, the card so far, it looks pretty good. It should be a good show. But as for the Go Home episode of NXT, it featured an appearance from Dominic Mysterio, the new North American champion, and also a match between Rhea, Ripley, and Valkyria. And with that, we'll go ahead and get right into the action, starting with the opening segment of the show, which saw Wesley and Mustafa Ali come to blows. So NXT has struggled to nail the main roster formula of opening a show with a promo, but they did not struggle here. This segment genuinely worked and resulted in a hot start to the night. The crowd giving Dirty Dom no corner, the Eradicator having to commit to just speaking louder than them, the crowd. Ali and Lee sold how much the NXT North American Championship meant to them. While last week's main event was not the best match, the aftermath certainly has been electric. NXT is benefiting from a larger spotlight with Dom as champion, but that could mean that both Lee and Ali will be out of contention soon. So the triple threat match for the NXT North American Championship, it's official. Dominic Mysterio versus Mustafa Ali versus Wesley at the Great American Bash. This is an unpredictable matchup. Honestly, either one of these three guys could win, but again, with the new eyes being brought to the program with Dom as champion, maybe that favors him and maybe he ends up retaining. Carmelo Hayes, Trick Williams, and Elin Dragunov versus the Schism, and this was a solid tag team match, but the various theatrics at ringside stopped this from reaching that top gear. Now, this is one of those matches where WWE kind of puts himself in a predicament where you can have the NXT champion losing, but you also don't want Schism to lose clean. So the result and how the match got to that result made sense, even if it hurt the match quality. It looks like the Creed brothers are not actually done with Gacy and the Dyad, assuming that they are the ones under the mask. Now, the unfortunate thing is that feud has run its course, but keeping Dynamite in NXT for a while longer is a positive, even though that would go to stipulation of the last match between the Dyad and the Creeds, which was that loser leaves NXT. So what was the point of a loser leaves NXT match if loser doesn't actually leave NXT? Yeah. Rhea Ripley versus Valkyria, and while Ripley rarely wrestles on WWE television these days, she has delivered every chance she gets. This was a great showcase of her talent while also elevating the Valkyrie. She looked like a legitimate threat to the Eradicator down the stretch, even if she was never actually going to win the match. Valkyria also needed this opportunity as she continues to rise to the top of the NXT card, and at this point, with a win over JC Jane and a rematch of the two rivals, well, that could be what it takes to put Valkyria back in the NXT Women's Championship scene. Elin Dragunov stands tall to close the show in a brawl with Trick Williams. So this was the most heated segment involving the NXT Championship at all, and probably all of 2023. The way Dragunov marched to the ring to lay out Trick after warning him to back down. Next level greatness. The challenger looked unstoppable, and NXT smartly booked this to never make the Czar the outright bad guy in this scenario. Melo did not want Trick to take this fight. Dragunov did not want Trick to take this fight. Trick took the fight anyway, and he paid for it. Then, as a result, the feud between Hayes and Dragunov became personal quickly, and that should only add to what might be match of the night come a Great American Bash. So, in conclusion, the wrestling this week, not NXT's best. The storytelling rarely stronger, but from the opening segment to the closing brawl, I would say this was a great go-home show. Dominic Mysterio has integrated himself into the NXT North American Championship scene quite well, setting up a triple threat match that seems completely unpredictable at the Great American Bash. Rhea Ripley will be in his corner, obviously, but on this show, it was Dominic in her corner for the main event, the strongest in-ring action of the night. Over the course of this show, Hayes has built his hottest feud so far in his NXT career, or I guess what could be his hottest feud in his NXT career. Across the rest of the card, tape vignettes were a big driving force to continue hyping matches like Stratton versus AO and Perez versus Davenport, and those segments certainly made up for a few other segments in the show. And when it comes to go-home shows, a company too often fails to build a sense of anticipation in the final week before a premium live event, but I don't think they did that. I don't think they struggled here. I think this was a very successful go-home show. Maybe not have Cora Jade lose to Dana Brooke, and maybe not have Gable Stevenson, on the mic, and maybe kind of cut back Gable Stevenson's mic time. Maybe just have him do backstage promos. But I mean, other than that, though, it was still a pretty good show. I think it did a solid job creating anticipation for the Great American Bash, and as I talked about at the top, should be a great show, or a good show at the very least. And with that, we'll go on and wrap up this episode of WWE Discussion. Be sure to check out my Twitter page sometime this week to see my picks for Great American Bash. And if you like this video, be sure to leave a like down below.